Hey.
Welcome to Rink Rookie, a girl's guide to the NHL, and I am your co-host, Ashley.
And I'm your other co-host, Arielle, and welcome to our podcast.
How you doing, Arielle?
I'm doing pretty good. Been a long week.
Yeah.
A lot of hockey.
So much hockey. Literally logging on to ESPN Plus yesterday, and there's like 4 games all at the same time, and then one at 6. Very overwhelming when you want to watch them all.
Oh, yeah. I managed to watch 3 yesterday.
The ones that were all
tired.
happening at the same time?
Yeah, I kind of split them up. I ended up watching New Jersey.
Okay.
So I watched the Devils and the Oilers, yeah.
I
watched
so.
I was oh my God, I know. No, it was the Flyers. It was the Canucks and the Oilers.
Watched the Blackhawks, and so I told her all of the games that were available yesterday.
Yeah, I watched the Devils and the Flyers. I watched that one live, and that was actually, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a boring game, but I kind of wanted to see their captain play because I haven't seen him play, which is neat.
Oh, nice.
And then after that, what did I do? Oh, I switched to the Canucks game.
Yeah.
And then I went back to watch the New York game.
It was the Rangers versus the Islanders, the Blackhawks and the Wild, the Capitals and the Red Wings, and then the Devils and the Flyers. And then it was Vancouver and...
It's like the Oilers were playing sometime yesterday. Who were they playing? I can't remember.
What else did you do besides hockey? There's got to be something else.
I was doing like reading and like book talk stuff
all week other than hockey.
Yeah. Nice. I was doing a lot of interacting, and I had to do some beta reading for an author, so I had to get that finished and make sure all my notes were ready for her, so that was fun.
What were you doing earlier today? I saw you were at like a rodeo or something.
Yeah, we went to PBR. I woke up, I like slept in, and my dad came in. He's like, Arielle, we have PBR today. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot. And he's like, so did I. Get ready. I had 15 minutes to get ready, and then it's like 40 minutes to get down there, and we like were rushing. We made it in 30, and we made it just in time for the first game. I guess it was very entertaining, a little scary, especially because a bull like came to our area. We were like pretty close, and a bull came to our area, and the guy behind us was like, please don't jump the rail.
Is it just bull riding and like lassoing and like what was it?
Bull riding, that's like a whole kind of sport, because like my dad and I, like, we are not well versed in that. This is my second time going, his first time, and so they basically do like 3 rounds, and they have like there's 2, 4, 6 like teams.
Okay.
And then they have to stay on the bull for 8 seconds for it to count as points. And if they don't, then it just doesn't count as points. It's very interesting. So the hometown, the Arizona Rough Riders, they won the games tonight. So that was fun. I'm always like surprised to watch it happen, because it is really interesting and very entertaining. Even if you don't know exactly what's happening, you kind of pick up on it pretty fast, and everyone's like really nice, and it's just a lot of fun.
Would you go again?
I would go again. We came home with merch, actually.
Shut up. I want to haul after this.
All right, what did you get up to this week?
Oh boy, I went to Disneyland 2 days in a row. One of my roommates did let her pass expire, so we went and did kind of like a full out, this is my last day, because we're unemployed, so can't really afford a pass. So we did that, and then my other roommate, we went the next day because she had a like 3-day local ticket, and it was her last day to use it. So we just went and rode a couple rides. It was really chill, and I think that's all I really did this week. But the APTP and the SAG-AFTRA groups are meeting tomorrow. So hopefully there's good news.
And then after that, you think I'll have news on, so I can schedule my stuff so I can go out there?
Yes, I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks you can have some better insights as to what's going on over here, so you can mosey on over so we can go see a Penguins game.
Heck yeah, because believe it or not, it would cost me the same to go travel to LA and see Ashley and go to a game there than it is to stay home and see a game here. It's ridiculous. I want to support the Coyotes, but come on now.
They're making it difficult.
It's very hard.
Like the cheapest tickets to see the Penguins right now, Ducks or the Kings play them, is like $45. I guess that's before fees, so it's probably like closer to $60, but still. And I know you showed me some tickets. They were like starting at $140. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. Maybe it's just the arenas here because when I've been looking at Kraken tickets in Seattle, they're $140 like starting.
Even in like the upper?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, they have like
So,
a nice fancy, so they got the whole
yeah,
thing.
brand new. I mean, my roommate and we're going for my birthday, and obviously we have to buy tickets, and I just haven't been able to, A, because I don't have a job, but B, just because they're so expensive. And I want to sit lower, so I'm going to have to shell out. I'm looking at like $350 a piece.
Oof.
Yeah. Thank God for Afterpay. I mean, that's how I bought the ticket to go see the Kraken and the Ducks in December. I'm like row L from the glass, so I think that's pretty good. It was like $175.
That's not bad.
I don't think so. If I could find a ticket like that in Seattle, I would have already bought it. But unfortunately, it's not like that.
Yeah. They're a hot commodity.
I get it. I think they're a hot commodity. I will pay the money. I just don't have it. Just to give you guys a look into what this episode is going to be about, we're going to go over some lengthy hockey news because a lot's going on. And then we're going to go over lines and shifts because Arielle brought a good spotlight onto this because she was noticing it a lot. And I don't think we've really covered it. Do you want to kick us off on some news?
All right. Let's get on to this hockey news roundup. So it is 9 days until hockey season officially starts. So we're super excited about that. Yay! EA Sports NHL 24, they had their mocap ratings. Do you know what that was? I was like, do you know what that was
Not what I
about?
meant. We just talked about how bad the mocap was.
Oh, yeah.
For some of the players, and it was just, I don't know if anyone else is noticing it. I think like not as many people are noticing it as they should be.
Yeah. Which
It's
one?
bad.
Who did you send me? And you were like, who is this?
Jack Hughes was bad. Trevor
Yeah.
Zegras was bad. Roman, I want
Roman
to say
Josi.
Josie, but that's not how you say his last name apparently.
It's not.
No, it's like,
I literally heard another hockey player say his name that way. Now I'm like,
really?
yeah.
I watched a lot of videos yesterday with my roommate. Like we were watching like hockey funny moments and stuff. And they said his name because there was a captain's one. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I'll have to look it up now.
Oh, I gotta look that up. Yeah, I saw Austin Matthews. I didn't like his. His was all of their. Yeah, I'm not a.
There was like one or two good ones. Yossi.
See, okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, Roman Yossi.
It's not like that crazy, but it's not Josie. Like Josie and the Pussycats.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Okay, so ESPN has reported that the Lightning, the Islanders, the Jets, and the Kings are most likely to miss. So I'm guessing maybe they're not looking at a good season after looking at all the preseason stuff that's going on. While the Flames, the Predators, the Sabres, and the Penguins are looking at a more promising year.
Interesting. I only say it like that because whichever game I was watching yesterday, one of the commentators, they were basically talking about who was looking good for the year and who wasn't. And they were just like going in on some of the teams, like the Penguins, such as that are not looking good in like his eyes because they have like mostly vets. So he's basically saying that they're taking a chance, hoping that the vets are going to stay healthy and do well enough. And I'm like, I don't really have an opinion on that. I don't know how that's going to go. I would think that having bigger, heavier vets out there would be a good thing. But I guess, making sure that they stay healthy, that's going to be the tough part.
I feel like they're more prone to accidents and things being surgeries and stuff. So I guess that makes sense. I think next year we'll definitely have a better understanding and outlook on maybe something like this that you can predict how well a team's going to do based on what their roster looks like and prospects and draft and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
And the Lightning is interesting because they won 2 cups recently-ish. You know? So I don't know enough about this to really have a comment. I just found it interesting.
Agreed.
So there's some sad news. Another passing has happened. I feel like last episode we had a passing. But the Calgary Flames assistant general manager and sports writer Chris Snow has passed at age 42 after a lengthy battle with Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah, that was really sad.
That's so young.
He was, oh my gosh. And I saw he had 2 kids and he leaves behind his kids and his wife. So definitely, I saw that and I was like, man, this poor hockey world. And then I saw all the teams like sending their condolences. And I guess there is an assistance for the family somewhere.
If I can find it, I will link it down below if you're listening to this on YouTube.
And we'll post it into our Instagram stories when we find it.
Yes.
Trevor Zegras, but also Jamie Drysdale, not being signed with the Ducks drama.
Just a heads up, we did record this Sunday, October 1st, and it turns out Zegras got signed the next day, Monday. So just let you know, he did get resigned to the Anaheim Ducks.
All right, so contract negotiations between the Anaheim Ducks and restricted free agents Trevor and Jamie are proving to be challenging as both players remain unsigned and are not participating in training camp. I've seen a lot of talks that they're being lowballed.
Yeah, I have too.
Yeah, I saw something about the team has, I think it was like 16.6 million cap currently, and they're over here trying to be like, here's 2 million, 3 million. I don't think
And that is, like, in theory, a lot of money, but, like,
yeah.
not only, like, do you deserve more because you're, like, being ranked in, like, top 10 lists of best NHL, whatever, you're in Southern California, you know,
Yeah,
you can't buy a house for $1 million.
Well, did you see how much? Because I saw something was like 3 million.
It was like 200K.
Yeah, that's
like,
not.
if you like break it down in Southern California terms, like 2 million with everything comes out to like 200K anywhere else, basically. So it's like super lowballing. It's kind of like spitting in your face, is what it feels like.
Some of your best players. He's taken athlete out of his Instagram bio, and he changed his profile pic. So he is no longer in a Ducks jersey. The girlies are going crazy. It's a mess. So we'll see. They got to do it soon.
Do you predict he'll sign? He has to sign before December to be able to play. Or do you think he'll sign with someone else?
I don't know. I feel like if anyone else could give him, I saw some Sabres that was being brought up a bit. I know a lot of people don't want to see Jamie and Trevor separated, but I mean, that's their job, so
literally, like, I'm sorry you're upset.
They gotta go where they gotta go. They have to think about themselves, unfortunately. But I don't know. I don't know. Does he want to leave?
Well, I would assume not, because his girly friend is here now. So is my guess. Like, I feel like he was probably fine to leave, but then he got in a relationship. Not that it's any of my business, and I don't know him, obviously, but he's dating Dixie D'Amelio.
Yes.
So, and she lives here. So I could understand the like, yeah, I could stay here, but you got to pay me. I don't know if he would take like a lower salary just to stay though. Like that's stupid.
Just to stay for a girl? That doesn't seem realistic.
Yeah.
He's a professional.
Especially he's so young.
Yeah.
It feels silly.
He's got his whole career ahead of him. He'll be fine.
Exactly.
Hopefully they sign soon.
Jamie's been skating at the Toronto Metropolitan University, so he's not doing like hockey stuff.
So they're keeping in shape.
Yeah.
I think during the summer too, they were both like working out with, I think, the Hughes and like Matty Beniers and stuff like that. So they're all working out and staying in shape. They just don't have any contracts signed.
Maybe soon. I would like to see a Ducks game with both of them, but also if you find something better, that's cool too.
Yeah. We're rooting for whatever they choose.
So my fave new player, if you know, you know, Connor Bedard. So their first preseason game with him in it was the Blues versus the Blackhawks. And the Blackhawks won 2-1 in overtime. Bedard showed some great moves and had 2 assists in his first NHL preseason game, but he wasn't exactly thrilled with his performance. He thinks he can be a lot better. I guess when you're the number 1 draft pick, like what are you supposed to do? Like I feel like you put a lot of heavy expectations on yourself, especially with literally every post has him somewhere in some way. If he is somewhere, he's playing a game, his name is said 20 times at least. Even if he's not playing, the camera is on him. Like watching that game, I didn't watch it live, but I went back and watched it, and it was just every 5 seconds his name was being said.
I was watching a different game and his name was being said. That's a lot of pressure, but he's really good.
I know you and I talked about this, about just wondering if the hype for him goes across the number 1 draft pick in the past. Because we weren't obviously really ingrained in hockey when past drafts were happening. But apparently this hype hasn't really been real since Connor McDavid was the number 1 draft pick by the Edmonton Oilers 8 years ago. So it's not exactly common. Like McDavid's one of the number 1, like everything, I feel like right now. So despite it being 8 years ago, he's still at the top. So it'll be interesting to see if Bedard is also going to be number 1 going forward. I saw someone predict he'll be Blackhawks captain next year.
That'd be interesting.
It would be interesting. That would beat the Hughes news if he was a 19-year-old captain.
Yeah, it would. Wait, how old's Connor?
18.
He's 18 now. Then
Uh-huh.
he would be matched up with Connor McDavid because Connor McDavid was 19 when he was captain. That's insane.
Oh shit. I like that. That's fun.
Captain news. Michael Backlund signed a 2-year contract extension with the Calgary Flames, along with becoming the 21st captain in franchise history. So that's exciting for him. And then old news, we forgot last week. Adam Lowry also became the captain of the Winnipeg Jets. That honor was given to him officially Tuesday morning, September the 12th, as he becomes the third captain in franchise history since the team moved there from Atlanta. He follows Andrew Ladd and Blake Wheeler, who served as captain for 5 and 6 years, respectively. Ooh, did you watch this? The big fight between the Kings versus the Golden Knights?
That's why it's on here.
No, I see.
You haven't watched it?
I kind of like, I saw clips, but like, were you watching the game at all?
No.
And like saw it happen? You just kind of like saw the...
I saw reports about it because he was being a big baby.
Yeah.
I knew I didn't like them for some reason. But go ahead. Tell us what we're talking about.
All right, the Vegas Golden Knights hosted the Los Angeles Kings in what should have been an easygoing bout between two Pacific Division teams with high aspirations. Kings roster hopeful Hayden Hodgson unleashed a heavy hit on Knight star Mark Stone midway through the second period. While the hit may have been clean, Vegas took exception immediately, quickly prompting a significant brawl, especially, preseason standards. And then to quote Captain Mark Stone in an interview that he had after, he said, and we quote, "That's probably the last time I'll ever play against that guy. Not really much of a player, so I'll leave it at that."
Not much of a player. It's literally hockey. I
think that was so out of pocket. He didn't need to say that. Like, he's like, I probably won't be playing up. Like, what?
You can't make that happen.
I almost hope that he makes the team so that he does play against them again.
I'm scared for this kid now, though.
I am a little too.
Because
he put the fear of God in him.
Yeah, the captain also screamed at another King hopeful, Brant Clark, who's 20. He literally grabbed him by the jersey and screamed at him on the ice. The kid literally looks like he's peeing himself because he's so scared. You are an adult. I understand you are both old enough to both be playing for the NHL, but you have, as a captain, you have to understand the kind of tone you're setting, regardless if it's the other team.
I know, that almost makes
me being naive.
Well, no, because aren't these captains chosen to be like
the example?
They're the example. They're the leaders of their team. So you want people who are gonna be in good sportsmanship on and off the ice.
Yeah,
that wasn't very good sportsmanship, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Mark Stone went on to say about scaring Brant Clark, "I think I scared him a little, didn't I? Honestly, I was looking around for some of their talented players to run at them, and he was really the only one. It's unfortunate you're playing against a team like that. They're trying to make a name for themselves." So this kid sounds like he did nothing to you in a sense, and you just wanted to yell at somebody.
Yeah, that's weird, but all right, I guess.
I feel so justified in my dislike for the Golden Knights. Nothing about them really makes me interested in ever watching them.
That's fair.
Will I watch my favorite teams play them and hope they win? I guess, but even then, something about that team just is not doing it for me. Well, that was it for the news. Feels like a lot, but
that was a lot of news.
I feel like we're missing stuff, but if we did, we'll catch it next week. But we're gonna get into the meat of the episode and talk about lines and shifts. So you want to kick us off?
Let's get into it. All right. So an NHL game is 60 minutes long. There are more than 5 players on each team. So how does the coach split up the ice time between players? We're about to figure it out. So how long would a player play each night, and is there a difference between players? When looking at how many minutes NHL players play, it's most helpful to look at them according to their position. On average, a defenseman will play 20 minutes and 11 seconds per game, and a forward will play 15 minutes 37 seconds per game. The amount each player plays each time varies depending on a number of factors, including their own skill level, overall team depth, and the coach's decisions. Interesting enough.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense depending on where they're playing, how they're needed.
Yeah, I saw which game? I think it was the Canucks game. I was really paying attention to it because I saw them switching out, and then I noticed how they mentioned some defenders they'd be staying on the ice while the forwards were being switched out. So I think it's interesting that the forwards have a shorter amount of time, and then even some commentators were like, okay, are they going to switch out the defenders? Nope, they're going to stay. So they were out there for a good minutes.
When I was doing research for this and pulling stuff, it was interesting to see like what it all comes down to as far as reasons why someone gets more ice time or why they're not getting any, and like how like indicators and stuff of how long you should stay on the ice. So I like bringing this up is actually really helpful because I had no idea until I started looking at this. So the two main reasons that a defenseman plays more than a forward are there are simply more forwards dressed for each game than defensemen. Typically, for each game, there are 4 lines of forwards. 3 each equals 12 total, and 3 pairs of defense. 2 each is 6 total. So the forward position is a higher energy position that requires more skating and wears out the player more quickly. This is also why the coach will dress more forwards than defensemen each game. So let's look at the positions through the lens of ice time. So the average ice time for the forward position is about 15 minutes and 37 seconds per night. Last year in the NHL, Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers averaged the most ice time for any forward with 22 minutes and 50 seconds. So this includes the time he's on the ice for 5-on-5 power play and penalty kill time, whereas a forward on the lower end would play around 11 minutes. The 12 forwards on a team are divided up into 4 different lines. The best line on the team is called the first line, the second line, third line, and fourth line, and so on.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because that's why I know a lot of the rookies that are fighting for spots on like the team in general. They're getting put into lines, and I guess some are only getting put into the third and fourth line. So they're, I guess, working their butts off to try and get to the first. Yeah, that's interesting. And then you see all the vets and like all, the guys that have been there for a while. They're
not worried about it.
They're not worried. It's actually funny watching them this preseason because they're like giving low effort. They're like, yeah.
But the more energy exertion makes sense why a forward would have less ice time because they're already exerting so much more energy while they're out there. They get more time to recoup when they're back in the box.
Yeah, that's nice. It makes total sense.
So what other factors determine how much time a player gets per game?
Individual talent, of course. The talent of the individual will determine whether or not they are on the first line, second line, first pair of defense, second pair of defense, etc. Simply put, the better you are, the more time you get to play. And then talent of the rest of the team, or lack thereof, will determine how much your best player plays. The coach often wants to keep the player averages in a reasonable range based on line averages, as we talked about before. So you want a good team. So you're not...
Yeah, that just sounds like basic knowledge, as like the better player is going to play more of the game. But then I guess you have to think about things like injuries and stuff and make sure your second line and so on is good.
Yeah, because you don't want to wear out your best player.
Exactly. So line changes. Hockey is known as the fastest game on earth, and if you've ever watched a hockey game up close, you will definitely agree with this. However, a potentially confusing part of the game is players coming on and off during the flow of the game at seemingly random times. Who comes off, who goes on, and how do they know? This is the biggest mystery question for me.
Same.
So I'm excited to figure out, because I think I said this before, but my first hockey game that I ever went to, there was a penalty because there were too many players on the ice. I turned to my roommate who had been watching hockey forever, and she was just like, I don't think she really gave me an answer, because it feels like such a how do you know?
Or even when players are missing. Again, a game I was watching the other night, they were like, there's not enough players on the ice. They're missing people. I'm like, how do they know?
Exactly. Well, so how do line changes work in hockey? Player is allowed to change at a stoppage of play or while the game is still happening, which is called changing on the fly. Coaches are responsible for letting players know which line is out next and generally keep certain players together. Each shift will last about 45 seconds. So are they watching the clock, or do you think by that time you kind of just have like an internal, oh, this has been 45 seconds clock?
Well, I'm curious because I think, Connor Bedard's interview the other night, and he's like, we could tell that like you wanted to stay on the ice longer, so you weren't looking at the bench. So I'm wondering, like, are they, not only do they have to focus on the game, do they have to be glancing back at the bench for whatever cue that their coach gives them to get off? Because that's insane.
And what if you just choose not to?
Not to look?
Like, yeah, to be like a brat, and you're just like, I don't want to go back. I'm having a good time.
I assume you'll be tired and want to get off.
That's fair. I can't imagine how exhausting it's got to be to not only like skate your way around the ice, but also probably like 10 pounds of gear. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a player that stood out to me, and he was just so fast with the way he would stop and just move. I think it was, oh my God, I can't remember his name, but I do remember his number. It was number 29 on the Islanders. He would stop so fast. I actually had to pause the TV and go, was he like, he's a big guy and he was just stopping on the fly in front of some of these players and even like the goaltender, so he wasn't like running into anybody. I don't know. He had some, I think he's a veteran or something, but he had skill. And then when he would get off super fast.
Brock Nelson is who you're talking about, I believe. Yes. He's my age. He's actually a normal aged human being on a team. Yeah, I'm actually older than him. That's fun.
That's wild.
Yeah, he's been with the Islanders since 2013.
I was very impressed by how fast he was.
Oh, he was a first-round pick by the Islanders. He was number 30 in the 2010 draft. That makes sense because I graduated high school in 2009. Just some trivia for you. We should do hockey trivia. If you come out here, maybe I'll find a sports bar or something we can go to and test our knowledge.
Oh, gosh. Did I not? I've said it on the podcast. I am not a stats girly. I don't remember.
It doesn't have to be stats. I'm sure it would be, but I could dream.
It'd be stats and I'd be there. I'd have to join someone's team to look pretty. There's no way I would remember. All of a sudden, all like the information I'm learning would just fly out the window.
I feel like sometimes it does. I'll watch a game and I'll have someone ask me a question. I say I watch a game. I went to one game and I had my roommates asking me questions and I'm just like, I know this, but it just escaped my brain immediately. It makes sense in my head, but like trying to explain it out loud is a whole different thing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, back to this. An NHL team during the game is made up of 12 forwards and 6 defensemen, like Ashley said, with 2 goalies, a starter, and a backup. The forwards are broken up into 4 lines of 3, so each forward line has left wing, center, right wing. And then the defensemen are broken up into 3 pairs, left defenseman, right defenseman. Easy enough. If there are no penalties, there will be 3 forwards and 2 defensemen on the ice at all times, or another way to say this is 1 forward line and 1 defense pairing. Okay, I was hearing that a lot, but actually wasn't confused because I figured it out. The players are organized on the bench to sit in their groupings of players, with the forwards on one side of the bench, closest to the opponent's goaltender, and the defensemen on the opposite side of the bench, which is closest to their own goalie, each in their line or pairing. 2
defensemen who like are a pair, like my faves, Dunn and Larson, they sit together on the bench because they're a pair and they go out together.
Okay, that's interesting. I know they're testing out some pairs for Quinn Hughes right now, so that's interesting. I wonder how that's working on the bench.
I think it'd be so sad to not sit next to your bestie. I'm sure it's not like that, but you have someone you chat with, and
they're trying to, I know for him specifically, they're trying to figure out like who's going to work well with him. They were testing out Carson Soucy, so that was interesting. I liked how they worked together. He did good stuff in Seattle.
I did like them too. Because I watched that game. I think I watched until after his second goal, and they were talking about who they were going to. I remember this conversation now.
Yeah,
that the anchors were having about who they were going to put him together, and they all voted Soucy. So I also like him as a Kraken to Canuck player.
Again, there are 2 times that the players will make these substitutions while the play is happening and at stoppages in play.
So we've got line changes when the play is happening. This is, I feel, the confusing part. So the term used for players changing while the play is called changing on the fly. I feel like we've mentioned that a handful of times and by now. So changing on the fly is a necessary part of the game for 2 reasons: to keep the flow going, not hair, as flow is also a term for, and for the stamina of the players. Most other sports require stoppage in play before a player is allowed to substitute in, but not in hockey. This unique feature of the sport, where a player does not have to check in with a referee before coming on the ice or going off, is what allows hockey to keep so much of its flow. If there was no changing on the fly, there would probably be more whistles, as teams would want to freeze the puck or stop play to allow tired players to come off the ice. It is not unusual to see hockey go 5 to 10 minutes without a stoppage in play. The players also do not have the stamina to stay on the ice for more than 30 seconds to a minute. Considering how hard and intense NHL players play, they try to keep shifts short. They are caught on the ice for too long, their play usually starts to diminish, and other team can capitalize off tired players and create more scoring chances. 45 seconds, I guess, is the sweet spot that they found. I'm assuming.
That makes sense. So I assume their coaches are the ones keeping time, and they could probably see who's getting tired and then just call them off.
I could see also the disadvantage. Like, sure, you can feel like you have the stamina to continue playing, but if other players are capitalizing off of that, why would you want to stay on the ice if you're being attacked, so to speak, because you're tired and you just don't want to get off?
Yeah.
So how do they actually change on the fly, Arielle?
A player is allowed to change at any time while the play is happening. However, the player coming on is not allowed to come onto the ice until the player is within 5 feet of the player's box. This results in a case where, for a few instances, both players coming onto the ice and the one coming off the ice can be on at the same time. That's a no-no. However, if the substitution is not done correctly, it could result in a penalty. If the player comes onto the ice before this 5 feet, then too many men are on and a minor penalty will be called. In addition, when both players are on the ice, neither is permitted to touch the puck. If either of the players touch the puck, even within that 5-foot zone, the team will also be called for too many men penalty.
What if you're like, I mean, that's kind of a bummer if you're like on the way to get off and then the puck just happens to be in your area and you're like, oh, maybe I won't get off real quick. I'll hit the puck.
But doesn't that also count for coming out of the penalty box?
Yes. Question mark.
And I'm only saying that because I saw a video of Matt Barzal coming out of a penalty box, and he hadn't even touched the ice yet. His stick did, and they got in trouble.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
I was like, I mean, you that sent it.
You can't help it. I feel like you see it, and it's your job, and it's what you're programmed to like do, especially if you're in the middle of a game.
He's like, it was right there.
Exactly.
Moving on. The coaches will run the benches and let the players know who goes on the ice, which forward line or defense pairing is up next. It then becomes the responsibility of the players to watch for the player they are to substitute off and go on for when they come off. For instance, the centerman on the bench will be watching the centerman on the ice, and when he's ready to come off, he will be the one that goes on. This goes the same for left winger, right winger, and both defensemen. Teams will usually try to change as much as possible as units, lines or pairings, but it's not always possible depending on how the current shift is going, and you may just have to switch off the positions one or two at a time. Okay, so that answers our question. Wow, they really do have to be paying attention.
That feels like men not great at multitasking. Why are we making that a part of their job?
You're not great at multitasking? Guess what hockey is? You're going to be multitasking.
Maybe not the sport for you.
If you can't do that, then hockey's not it. Once the line has gone on the ice, the coach will indicate the next line to go on and so forth. The coach does make some adjustments during the game and may switch up the players playing on certain lines to try and create a spark.
AKA a goal.
Yeah, and I guess for a defenseman too, you want to see, I guess, who's working well together.
That's true.
I guess during the preseason, that's the time to be mixing it up, the defensive line, I guess.
Perfect your lineup and what just works better. I loved learning about this. This was
so helpful. Now I'm going to now I have one more thing to pay attention to when I watch a game.
Add it to the long list of other things. So just to give some sources for the information we've given on today's episode, we used hockeyanswer.com, NHL.com for some news, thefourthperiod.com, and Yahoo Sport. Hockeyanswer.com has now become one of my favorite websites as far as learning. It feels very helpful. So if you have questions about anything we talked about today or have talked about in the past, I would definitely check out that website. We'll probably be using it in the future as well. I think that's all we've got for today.
And that's the end of today's.
All right, Arielle, where can the people find you around the internet?
On the internet, you guys can find me on Instagram and on TikTok at It's Arielle Garcia, ITSARIELLE, and then on Twitter at Arielle Garcia. And you, Ashley?
You can find me, if you so choose, at AENEWBY, Instagram, Twitter, and then you should definitely check out all of our socials at Rink Rookie Pod. We are on all of them. Arielle's doing a really cool series on some older hockey players with that book she got with the card. So check that out if that interests you, and we'll be around next week.
Yep, until next week.
Bye-bye.
Adios.